Welcome back, lords and ladies. King right here, and I'm your host for this evening. We are going back into Blood Magic. This time it's Tier 2. One thing I did fail to mention last tier is that the Weak Blood Orb has a maximum soul network of 5,000, but once you upgrade, it is going to upgrade substantially. So, in order to upgrade, the first thing you need to do is to put blood runes on surrounding that first block that this will be placed upon. That does not have to be a blood rune, it can be any block you want. I usually put a hopper down there for later automation, whenever I get the automation started. Otherwise, it's just like cobblestone or something like that. Now, to upgrade your rune, you're going to be making the Apprentice Blood Orb. With the Apprentice Blood Orb, you're going to need a Tier 2, which is that there. An LP of 5,000 inside there, so that's half full already. And then you're going to, it's going to give you a maximum of 25,000 from 5,000 over there to 25,000. That's awesome. You're going to be using an emerald. So you put an emerald in here. When there's 5,000 LP, it will turn into an Apprentice Blood Orb. You will shift right click to bind it to your soul network. Next thing is going to be the Reinforced Slate. This is for upgrading to Tier 2 type ruins, or even upgrading to Tier 3 for this, or even doing Tier 2 sigils, which we will get into in a second. So in order to create a Reinforced Slate, you will need a blank slate from Tier 1 over there, which is 1,000 LP. And you need a Tier 2 altar, which you have there, and 2,000 LP per slate to make a Reinforced Slate. Now from there, you could choose to upgrade your altar from having the speed runes or the blank runes. Personally, I go all out on self-sacrifice runes. I love these because up until I automate them, this is the only thing I really need until I get into trying to make a Tier 4 Blood Orb, which then in Tier 4 I'll show you why we're going to be changing up things a little bit. But up until then, this is Bay. Now, how do you create it and what does it do? First, it does a plus 10% bonus life points to Sacrificial Knife in the Ritual of the Feathered Knife. We do not have any rituals this early on until later on, so we don't have to worry about the Ritual of Feathered Knife, but the Sacrificial Knife can be created in this tier. Now, to create it, what you're going to need is to have 4 stone, 2 glowstone dust, access to the nether, 2 reinforced slates, and an Apprentice Blood Orb. Again, it will not absorb your blood orb, you will get it back. You will get yourself 1 rune of self-sacrifice. So if you choose to, you can replace these 4 blocks on a Tier 2 altar. You cannot replace these corner blocks, it will not allow it. So this is what it would look like for a Tier 2 altar. Alternatively, if you're not into pricking yourself and you've given up on life, and you wish to sacrifice your grandmother, or even a villager, or so on and so forth, for better extraction, or even just whatever, there is the Rune of Sacrifice. It does a plus 10% LP to the Dagger of Sacrifice in the Well of Suffering. This is where you go into for the automation. You replace all of these with these when you start automating. So, now, how do you create it? You have to replace the glowstone with gold. That's basically it. It's the same recipe except for the glowstone being gold. 2 stone, 2 reinforced slates, 2 gold ingots, a blood orb, and there you go. Now, how do you sacrifice those mobs or your grandmother? You need the Dagger of Sacrifice. In order to get the Dagger of Sacrifice, which only does 1 damage, surprisingly, but it does instant kill when there is a mob right here in this area, 1 by 1 of this area to be more exact. It is very, very, very tedious when it comes to that. You need a tier 2, that's a tier 2, with 3000 LP inside its filling, and an iron sword put inside of it. Now, what these numbers say here is basically you kill a animal like a pig or sheep, you get 250 points from it. You get 500 points for sacrificing a zombie or anything that's a hostile mob, and villagers get 2,000 points. Bye-bye, Grandma Villager. Now we can get into the sigils. In tier 2 sigils, you can create the Void Sigil. The Void Sigil, basically, when right-click into an inventory or a bucket, it will remove those fluids. It is based off of forge fluids, which would be lava, water, and oil. It does 50 LP per operation. In order to create it, you need 6 buckets, a string, a reinforced slate, and an apprentice blood orb. Then again, it will give you the blood orb back. Next up on the list is the Air Sigil. The Air Sigil uses 50 LP per operation. In order to create it, you need 6 feathers, a gas tier, a reinforced slate, and an apprentice blood orb. Just like any sigil, you shift right click to bind it to your sigil, soul network, and to use it, you just aim using your reticule and right click. It will propel you forward, but it does not protect you from fall damage. So you might want some fall damage protection like feather falling, or perhaps you might want to wait till later on when you can create the elemental version of this. It will then give you a feather falling effect. Next up is the Sigil of the Fast Miner. The Fast Miner gives you a haste 2 effect, but it uses 100 LP every 10 seconds until deactivated. Now, to create it, what you need is 4 stone, an iron axe, an iron pickaxe, an iron shovel, a reinforced slate, and an apprentice blood orb. It will give you your blood orb back. The last sigil that you can create in this tier is the Sigil of the Green Grove. The Sigil of the Green Grove acts like a bone meal type agent. So, it does 150 LP per use. So if we have a oak sapling here, we right click it, 150 per use of operation. Or we could activate it like this and it will slowly grow crops, saplings, etc. around us for 5 LP per second until deactivated. Now, to create it, how do you create it? You create it this way. You have to have 4 oak saplings in the corners. You have to have 3 sugar canes, a reinforced slate, and an apprentice blood orb. So that is all for the tier 2 section of blood magic. Remember, you have to make sure that these corners are blood runes. You can only upgrade the sides here. In tier 3, we are going to be able to get started with using rituals. So I will catch you, lords and ladies, next time. If you found this video helpful in any way, please leave a big fat like. If you haven't subscribed, come on and come subscribe. I'll catch you, lords and ladies, next time. Bye-bye now, and enjoy.